And you guys can also accept the people, when you see somebody is waiting, you can also accept it. Okay, so today we'll discuss about what is LAN masking, and we'll discuss about how, some mid-range array, like what will be the basic architecture of mid-range array and high-end arrays. And if you have time, then we'll start discussing basic things about SAN switches. Okay, so today basically what we are discussing, whatever we are discussing, we'll discuss about SAN only today. Okay, then once this is discussed in detail, then another class we'll do for NAS. Okay, and then we'll go on to object storage and then switch and all. Okay, and once basic things are covered, then we can go into the NetApp architecture, NetApp basics. Okay, so I already spoken what is LAN. LAN is logical unit. So basically, initially what you will have the disk, right? The disk can be SSD disk, it can be mechanical disk like SATA or SAS. Okay, and from the disk you'll be creating some RAID groups. Okay, RAID groups. Okay, and this RAID groups, basically what you will do in NetApp, you create aggregates. Okay, in NetApp you create aggregates. In other storages they call it aggregate as storage pools. Okay, in EMC or Hitachi they call it as storage pools. So whenever you are creating an aggregate, you will be defining the RAID group. You will define RAID group, define RAID. Okay, and as I always said in the previous lectures, that in NetApp the default RAID type will be RAID DP. Okay, RAID DP. If you do not mention anything, it will take RAID DP. If you mention something, then you can change, or you can, even if you by mistake you create the aggregates on some RAID type and then you want to change it, you can also change it. Okay, I will show you how to change that. Convert the aggregates from one RAID type to another RAID type. Okay, so here what is LAN? LAN is logical unit. Whenever you are getting interviewed, right, so they will ask you what is LAN, what do you mean by LAN, what do you mean by block, what do you mean by storage array. They will ask you these basic questions to understand whether you have really worked on storage or not. Okay, so LAN is basically what? So whenever you are creating aggregates or anything, right, so you have to logically split them into volumes. Okay, you can call them as logical volumes, and you can call them also logical volumes, so you can call them also volumes or LANs. In NetApp there is a different architecture. In NetApp what you normally do is, let me tell you, normally, yeah, you can accept these people. Okay, yeah, normally what you do is, somebody suggested me this to write better, no, this is not good, this is better. Yeah, so normally what you do is aggregate volume LAN, otherwise here it will be share. Okay, so what you do is, first you need to install the disk. Okay, and then once disk are installed, you need to create aggregates. This will be called as data aggregates. Okay, in NetApp there are two type of aggregates, data aggregates and root aggregates. Root aggregates is something whenever you are installing the ONTAP operating system, your root aggregates will be created, and it will store the OS of that particular node. You can have a NetApp array with one node, you can have with 2 nodes, 4 nodes, 6 nodes. Okay, if you are having only one node, that is not recommended for production data, to store the production data, because if the node is not available or there is some hardware fault or power outage, you do not have any redundancy, so you have single point of failure here, which you don't want for production data. So what you need, if you have any high-end applications, then you need at least a 2-node cluster where you will have 2 nodes. Node in NetApp means controllers. In other storages you have controllers, right? So node in NetApp is controllers. So you will have 2 controllers. So whenever you are installing the NetApp storage, what you will normally do, the root aggregates will be created. Okay, and the ONTAP operating system or that particular node or controller will be stored in the root aggregates, root volume of the root aggregates. Okay, If you want to store something like for user data, then you have to create some data aggregates. So once you create the data aggregates, then what you do, I'll use this blue one. So after data aggregates, you create volumes, okay? And then what you create, if it is for SAN, if it is for SAN, you create LUN. If it is for NAS, you create CFA share, okay, or NFS exports, okay. That's what you create. Object is different. So I will discuss about object storage. So when you use object storage, suppose SAN and NAS have limitations. So you are in same geographical locations, then you will be using SAN or NAS. Suppose your server is in Mumbai, your storage is in Chennai. Then because of the distance, your performance will be slow if you are using SAN. But in object storage, you can use it in geographical locations. Means you are in India, you are storing the data in Canada or US, you're going to use object storage. So object storage can span across geographical locations and it does not affect the performance, okay. And object storage, normally what we use, the first use case is geographical locations and having better, like more space. That is the first use case. Second use case of object storage is suppose you have some data in your on-premise storage, okay, where you're using SSD drives, which is costly. SSD drives are costlier than mechanical drives. Then what you want to do, your client wants a solution where they can save some money. So what you do is that the data which are cold data means not accessed frequently, okay. So cold data, you want to move the cold data after 3 months or 1 month or 6 months, you can have some tiering policy, and then that data will be moved to the object storage where you're using the disk which are lesser expensive disk like mechanical disk, SATA or SAS, okay. So in that case you'll be using object storage, okay. I'll also give you a better example, like in other class I'll give you like what is the architecture of object storage, okay. I will explain to you that, okay. But this is the basic thing. So what you do, you create the data aggregates. From data aggregates you create volume. If you want to you create volume, right? And suppose you want to allocate the space, for SAN, then you have to do zoning of your HBA of you need to connect the HBA of your server to the SAN switch. You have to connect the FC port of your storage controller or storage node, NetApp node, to SAN switch, and you have to do zoning, preferably soft zoning. After then what you do, you come to the log into the storage, you create the volume. On top of volume you create the LAN, okay. And then what you do, you create I group, okay. It's like host group in other vendors, it's host group, okay. Here in NetApp it's I group, okay. And then what you do, you allocate the LAN to I group, okay. In case you want to go for NAS, you do not have to do zoning. For NAS you do not have to do zoning, okay. The people who are very new, you have to understand that you should not do mistakes on this, because with this one mistake you will not be able to clear the interview. The interviewer will try to know whether you have basic knowledge or not. And I will tell you one more thing. Even if you get if you are a sweet talker means you are very good in have communication skills, right? Even though you have basic knowledge in storage, still you can move the ladder, okay. If your communication skills are good, your managerial skills are good, even though you have subpar knowledge in storage, still you can do well, okay. Communication skills will go a long way. So here what you are doing is that here this is for SAN, right? So I'm creating volume in a data aggregate. This volume will be known as flex volumes, okay. Flex volumes. In NetApp the volume is flex volumes. It can be thick and thin. I told you what is thick and thin, thick LAN and thin LAN, okay. When you use thick LAN will be using only for backup purposes. Mostly we'll be using thin LANs. Thin LAN means suppose you are giving 100 GB LAN to your or 100 GB volume you are allocating to your server, right? And the application is using only 10 GB space. Then from storage it will only go 10 GB space. You have still 90 GB that you can use for other servers. Even though the application or the server will not know that you have not given them that space, okay? It's like cheating, but still what you are doing, your client, you are billing your client, that much money, because sometimes per GB you'll be billing your client, okay? But you'll not be telling them that it's a thin volume, okay? You have to ensure that uh, and the application, suppose application is getting 80% full, right? So at that time what you need to do, you have to ensure that you get some disk procured, and you expand the aggregates, or maybe you move the volume to another aggregates where there is sufficient space, using which you can increase the space of that particular volume. And there is one more thing you can do in NetApp, which is which is it's very weird, flex group. So when you use flex group, suppose your flex volume is getting close to 100 TB size, and you have to increase the size as you have gone through the snapshot and you have checked that new snapshots are not being created, so only read IOPS are happening, not write IOPS. Snapshot size is not being changed, okay? So what you need to do, you cannot, NetApp is having a limitation, a flex volume cannot be increased beyond 100 TB. So what you have to do, you have to create flex group, you have to convert the flex volume into flex group, or maybe create a new flex group, okay? Flex group is something which will be span across multiple storage aggregates, multiple data aggregates, okay? So that is a different concept, I'll give you that. So if you can create the LAN from flex group also, or flex volume also, and then you allocate them to your I group, okay? In case of share, what you do, you create the CFA share, okay, or NFS export policies, okay? And then what you do,
Dayal,
you mount the share
hello,
on.
Dayal.
Yes.
What is the difference between flexi volume and normal volume? What you're saying that volume and flexi volume?
Flex volume and normal volume is same only. NetApp normal volume they call it as flex volumes. They call it as
Okay,
flex volumes.
okay,
Flexible volumes. Flex volumes. NetApp there are
okay.
two type of volumes: flex volumes and flex groups. Flex volumes can be thin provision, thick provision. Okay. So in my first
Okay.
class, you check the difference between thin provision, thick provision. That's why I'm giving you basic stuff. You may not appreciate my class now. I'm giving this, maybe it is showing too basic for you guys. But once I teach the actual NetApp, then you will able to understand why I'm teaching the basic thing. You'll not understand now. Why? Because basic things are very required for people who is not from storage background. Okay, otherwise you'll be able to do the work, but you won't be able to clear the interview, or you won't be able to know why you are doing the work. So you won't be able to do troubleshooting. For troubleshooting, you have to have knowledge from basic level. Okay, so what we are doing here for SAN, we are doing zoning. As I said, we are doing zoning, and then from flex volume we are creating LAN, and then we are creating I group. In I group, what we are mentioning, we are mentioning the WLPN number of host HBS, okay, and the OS type we are mentioning, and then we are allocating the LAN to the I group, okay. In case of share, like in case of NAS, what you are doing, we are not doing zoning. So NAS do not require zoning. Remember that. They will ask you during the interviews, okay. So what you do
Sir,
here,
sir,
yeah,
sir. So, what why do if they ask like why do NAS doesn't need zoning? Like, what should be the answer?
yeah, the answer would be, you just go to my second class where I have explained the NAS architecture. So what you are doing is in NAS is you are connecting the Ethernet ports of from your storage controller or storage node to Ethernet switches or network switches, and you are connecting the please mute yourself.
Yeah.
So you are connecting the NIC of your server. NIC is network interface card, LAN card, network adapter. You are connecting that NIC card from your server to your Ethernet switch. Okay, and this Ethernet switch is being managed by your network team, not by us, and we do not do zoning there. We do not do SAN switch zoning there. Okay, they will do something. I'm not saying they won't do something. The network team will do something, but we don't have to know that. It's their job. Okay, it's their job. Okay, so we'll tell
Sir,
them.
one more question.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay, please carry on, sir.
No, no, yeah, yeah. Tell me, tell me. So we do not have to know what network team is doing. We just tell them that even this kind of things also you don't tell. You don't need to tell. Like they won't ask you. So they will ask you that they'll probably ask you this. Okay, like we want to create a share. So if somebody does not know, say they'll say we'll do zoning, sir, and they know. And if they will get to know, okay, you have not worked on that because if you mistake, by mistake you say that I've done zoning and then I'm creating a share, then you will lose the opportunity. Okay, so for SAN we are using SAN switches, and that SAN switch is being managed by the storage team. For NAS we are using Ethernet switches, and the Ethernet switch is being managed by the network team. For SAN also there is one more protocol, iSCSI. For that we are using network switches, and we are not doing zoning. But initially for SAN they will mention, if they are not mentioning iSCSI, then you have to take it like you have to assume that they are asking for FC. Okay, SAN means normally FC. It's very rare that you will use iSCSI. Praveen is using iSCSI. I am using FC. Okay, I'm using iSCSI, yes, but for Hitachi, for some other replication purpose I'm using it to create the quorum. So that is for some other purpose. So then what you do, once you create the share, what you do, you will mount the share. So mount the, sorry, not mount the share. You will map the share. Okay, map the CFA share on Windows Server. Okay, on Windows Server. And if it is an NFS export, then you need to mount that export to your directly in a Unix server. Okay, so that's what you do. And then this part will be done by the server team, not by you. You will not be doing this. Permissions and all will be taken care by the server team. You can do it also. There are a concept of access control list. I will show you that one. Okay, you can do that, but it's not required, and you should not be doing that because the more work you do, the more tickets you will get. Okay, you don't want that. You want to spend your time for the work that will increase your knowledge. You want to reduce the day-to-day task, monotonous work, so that you can increase your knowledge. Okay. So what is LUN? So this is just a basic architecture. Okay, so what is LUN basically? LUN is logical unit. So what you are doing here, we are partitioning the aggregates. You would say that, not exactly partitioning. It's just I'm trying to make you understand. So in layperson or layman terms, I'm just telling partitioning. Okay, just telling that. So what you're doing, you are just splitting the logic, the aggregates into logical spaces, logical volumes, and that you call it as logical unit numbers, LUNs. Logical unit numbers. They will ask you what is LUN, what is block. They will ask you these things. Okay. So suppose your client is asking that I have this host AB. They have raised a request and they are asking that they require 200 GB space. So what you will do, your disk is 1 TB, right? So you do not want to give 1 TB disk, right? You need to give 200 GB, right? So that's how you use LUNs. We need partitions of disk. Okay, so first initially what we do, we install the disk, and then we have to assign the ownership of the disk to a particular node. Then we create data aggregates, and we define the RAID types of that aggregate. Okay, and then we create flex volumes. Okay, and on top of flex volume we create logical unit numbers, LUNs. Okay, the LUN can be 200 GB, 800 GB. In some earlier OS, like back in 2011, 2012, so there was some OS I saw which was not able to recognize the space beyond 2 TB. So if they want you 4 TB and they want you 4 TB LUN, even if you give them 4 TB LUN, the OS will not be able to recognize the disk. So what you have to do, you have to understand the maximum limitation and you have to get lesser size. If they need 4 TB, give 2 TB, 2 TB, 2 TB, 2 LANs instead of giving one 4 TB LAN. Okay, suppose you are allocating a big space to a operating system, okay, big LAN, and they are not able to scan the LAN. They are not able to the LAN is not visible to the server. Okay, so you have to think, okay, this is not visible, so what could be the issue? So the issue could be in zoning end, so you have probably done improper zoning, or maybe the physical connectivity issue could be there. Physical connectivity issue means you have connected the cable, fiber cable from your FC port of your storage controller to your SAN switch, okay, and the cable is loose, or maybe the cable is faulty, or maybe the SFP port in your storage controller port, or maybe SFP port in switch port is faulty, okay, or maybe the server is very new and the server is they have not installed the OS. So there could be many things due to which the LAN is not visible. Okay, so these are the things. Okay, so I'll also explain this thing when I teach you how to do allocation in in NetApp, but I'm just giving an overview. So every class, if I miss right when I'm giving the hands-on or anything on NetApp, so please remind me that, please sir, please Dayal, you don't have to call me sir, you can call me Dayal also. So you just call me Dayal, please you know discuss some troubleshooting or discuss some questionnaires, like what questions can come from this, like what are the questions the interviewer might ask us. Okay, so you can ask me. Okay, so basically what
One
logical,
question.
yeah.
Uh, so you told about the maximum size of the volume. It can go up to 100 TB, right?
Yeah, 100 TB.
And then how does the flex group, like, why do we create flex group?
Yeah, because the reason you create flex group is, suppose you need a volume, like a volume is there and it is like initially you get 50 TB, okay, and then data is coming and you are expanding the volume and it is getting close to 100 TB. Now, if you do not increase the space, then the write IOs will not happen. No more writes can happen on that particular volume. Okay, so what would be your thing? There are many ways to solve the problem. Another way to solve the problem is, suppose you're using that volume for one Unix operating system, and Unix operating system in Linux, what they're using, they are using volume group or logical volume, LV and VG. So even if you create some different LAN and give them, they can extend from the VG end. Okay, but sometimes you will not have any opportunity, like suppose you're creating a share and the share is getting 100 to be full, and this share is from some particular region like China data center, some region, and lot of things is there, lot of data is there, and there the user wants more space. So the only thing you can do is you need to convert the flex volume to flex group, because the flex group can grow into petabyte size, PB. Here it's only 100 TB, but here it's PB. Okay, I'll give you how much PB, I'll give you the thing. Okay, I will have to check the limitations. I used to remember it, but I forgot. It's something 5 petabyte or 20, I think 20 petabyte, I think. Okay, 20 petabyte. So you can, your size can increase up to 20 petabyte. Okay, so but if it is only flex volume, then you can after 100 TB you cannot expand the space. Okay, so that is the reason. If you really require to expand the pace, then you need to convert the flex volume to flex group. Okay, so that is one use case. Okay,
Sir, while allocating the run and volume to the host, so this size should be same or it should be different. Which one has the
that
10
is a good
GB?
question. Yeah, what you can do, suppose you have flex volume, right, 110 TB flex volume, you can create a LAN lesser than 100 TB or 10 TB volumes, or same size also you can create. It depends on your requirement. Suppose it 10
Okay.
TB volume create and 1 TB LAN you have given, you can do that. Okay, you don't have to use the whole space. So basically, what are logical units? These are basically the slices of your RAID groups or RAID sets. Okay, and the LUN or the data that will be in LUN, right? It will be in block level. So it will store in block level, and what will be the block level size? From 500 bytes to 4 KB in NetApp, okay? So that block size, right? So it will be spread across all the disk in that particular RAID group, okay? If it is a RAID DP, then you know that you have two fixed parities, okay? You have diagonal parity and you have vertical parity, I think, or horizontal parity, okay? So two parities are there. If it is a RAID 4, then one fixed parity. If it is a RAID TC, then three parities, okay? So that's how it will be distributed, okay? And you have to know that the logical units are basically the partition of RAID, okay? So let me show you here. There will be some good picture here. 1 second. मैं क्यों मैं इतना ज़्यादा बोल रहा हूँ कि बेसिक चीज़ को, क्योंकि आपको बाद में इट विल बी easy for you to understand later on. You won't me ask me question like, why sir we are doing zoning, why you are connecting this. You will not ask me any question because you will be knowing it why you are doing it, okay? So here what you can see here, you can see here, right? You see this physical disk, right? So from physical disk you create a RAID group, and from RAID group you are creating LUNs. So basically from physical disk in NetApp you are creating aggregates, data aggregates, and from data aggregates you are creating volume, and from volume you are creating LUN, okay? And you are also doing zoning. Here what you are doing, you can see here, right? This is storage network, means switches, FC switches. You call it as fiber channel switches or SAN switches. SAN switches are two types: director switches and fixed port switches. Okay, I will during the switch concepts I'll tell you these things, okay? So what you do, you are connecting the front end port, like your FC port, to your fabric. Fabric is a collection of switches. They'll ask you what is fabric, so you have to tell collection of switches. So you're connecting the front end port to one of the switches in a fabric, and you are connecting the HBA to one of the switches in that fabric, okay? Same fabric. Then you are doing zoning, soft zoning. Soft zoning means WWPN zoning. You are using the WWPN number of your host bus adapter HBA and WLPN number of your front end port which supports FC front end port, and you are doing zoning, okay? And then you are allocating the LUN to the host, okay? So that's what you are doing. You can see here this LUN, right? So it is showing like a portion, right? Portion of the physical disk, you can see, right? You can see LUN ID, LUN 0, LUN 1. So like this, you can see that, okay? Now what will be the usable capacity? The usable capacity will depend on the RAID group you are using. If you are using RAID 4, then one disk you are losing to parity, because you have to have one parity, okay, fixed parity. If it is RAID DP, then you are losing two disks. If it is RAID TEC, you are losing three disks in a RAID group, okay? So that is something there, okay? So here what you are doing, you are basically aggregating the space of physical disk. You are creating aggregates, and then you are partitioning, and then you are creating volumes, and on top of volumes you are creating LUNs and allocating to storage servers, okay? Allocating to servers, okay? And what you do when after you do allocation, what you are doing, you have to tell your host teams. There will be different host teams. For Wintel you will have teams. Host teams will it will be called like Wintel team. They will be managing your Windows host and VMware host, ESX servers. So once you allocate the LUN, you tell them they will log into the Windows host, and they will scan the disk from your disk management, okay? They will run in the run, they will just run compt .msc. I forgot the name actually. I forgot the command. When I was a fresher back in TCS, right, I was having 3 months experience. So at the time I learned that, they used to teach us those things. And in South, they called M as Yum, right? There was a guy in Bangalore, there was trainer, right? So he used to call M as Yum C. He used to call it, okay? And we used to laugh a lot. So I just remember that. So what you need to do, you need to go to the device manager and you need to scan the disk, okay, and then you'll be able to see the disk in like new disk, and then you can format the disk on a drive, in a dynamic drive, and then you can use that drive, okay. And if it is a VMware, then you need to log into the ESX server, you need to log into the VM, and there will be different options, okay. So there you can scan. If it is a Linux, then you have to do echo SCSI, echo 0 or echo 1 to SCSI class. You don't have to know that, okay. They will tell them to do it, so the Unix team will do that, okay. And in case, suppose in one case, okay, you are not, the server team is not able to scan the LAN, the first thing you ask is this a new server? If they say it's a new server, then you ask them, have you installed the OS? If they said yes, then you tell them, just reboot the server. The reboot the server will fix the issue. In Praveen, right, Praveen had one issue like 3 months ago, okay. Praveen, one of our trainees. So what happened was his ESX team was not able to recognize the LAN. So I told him to reboot the ESX server, and after rebooting the ESX server, it fixed the issue, okay. So that is the thing, okay. Whenever you are being interviewed for a project, right, so the project or an external interview job opening, so they will ask you what is aggregate, what is LAN, what is cache, what are front-end ports, what are back-end ports, what are SAN switches, what is LAN, what do you mean by HBA, what do you mean by NIC card. There's another thing, converged network adapter, CNA is a card which supports both HBA and NIC card, okay. It supports both the things. So they might ask you this also, okay. They will ask you this, okay. Now we are doing allocations, right? So allocation, what do you call allocation? You call allocation as LAN masking or provisioning. I told you yesterday, right? LAN masking means you are giving access control of your LAN to a host, so your host is able to access the space from external array, okay. So LAN masking, what you are doing, first initially you have to do zoning. After doing zoning, what you are doing here, this is the thing you are doing, okay. You are creating I group and you are allocating LAN to I group. So this is your LAN masking. This step is LAN masking. Whatever you are doing at NetApp end, that is LAN masking, and whatever you are doing in switch end, that is zoning. Zoning is not LAN masking, okay. So that is LAN masking, okay. And as I said, the array can be of different types, okay. You can have entry level storage arrays, you can have mid-range, you can have high-end, okay, high-end. So different you can have, okay. So let me show you this, okay. So this is a high-end array, okay. So basically all the high-end arrays that you have in NetApp or any other storage, that will be active arrays, okay. Active arrays means what? Both the controllers will remain active, okay. Both the controllers will remain active. So the host can do input output, if it's a SAN, so the host can do input output on the LANs, that will be available, that can be available on both the controllers, okay. So the path will be from both the controllers. In NetApp, what normally I do is I will be creating the path for both the nodes, okay. So in case one of the node is down, maybe power outage is there, or maybe the controller is faulty, maybe some version issues, maybe some bug, then the other controller is there, the other path is there through which the host can access the external storage, okay. So we do not have a single point of failure here, and that can happen if you have a active array. Even for active passive also can happen, but when the failure happens, right, in active passive array, you will have some downtime of 5 to 15 minutes. So your production will be down. Maybe you are using a banking application, maybe I'm using Kotak Mahindra, I'm logging to my savings account, or maybe I'm adding beneficiaries, sending some money, and I'm not able to do because it's on maintenance. Why it's on maintenance? Because maybe some hardware fault. So if I get frequent maintenance, right, so I don't want to use Kotak Mahindra, I'll go to SBI or maybe some other bank. SBI is very bad, not SBI, but some other bank, okay. So that's why the banking projects, they always use storage, they don't use cloud, bro. Because in cloud you cannot ensure about whether the data will be India or it will be in US, because they're using object storage. Okay, so the data can be in any geographical locations, it can be in Mexico also. Okay, so you don't, the banking, they don't want that, because they have SOX compliances, SOX compliances. Because of compliance issues, government regulations, they would not want the data to be out of the data center, out of India at least. So that's why every bank or every insurance or this kind of projects will have own storage team. Okay, own storage team, own who are using traditional infrastructure. There are two infrastructure. Traditional means you'll have your data center, your storage boxes, database, everything, and there is private cloud, public cloud. Private cloud means you may be managing the infrastructure at your own data center, but the application or the servers are managed by the cloud team. Okay, and your public cloud means your infrastructure, your servers, your database, your application, big data, whatever you have, it's being managed by the cloud vendor. Okay, so that is something there. So here what you're doing, active, so both the path will be used. You are using the host, you have the host HBA, suppose this host is having two host HBA. Okay, then what you're doing, you have switch, you're connecting the host HBA here, you're connecting the storage controller front end port, FC port here, you are doing zoning here, also connecting to other switch, connecting here, here doing zoning. If this path is gone, then another path is there. Okay, and because it is an active configuration, you will not have any downtime, but this can only happen if you are using high-end storage array. High-end storage array is your all flash arrays, those are high-end storage array. And this enterprise storage array, what you're having, you are having large storage capacity, the maximum capacity it's having in petabytes, lot of capacity you're having, the cache, the NVRAM size will be bigger. Okay, so those things are there. Okay, even the port you are getting, the front end port, it will have better speed, the Ethernet port will have better speed, the iSCSI port it will have better speed. Okay, so these are things you'll have. Okay, and the disk capacity you'll have, the disk share data you're having, it will have it can accommodate more disk. Okay, so you'll have better speed, better capacity. Okay, so these are the things you'll have. Okay, but if you're using mid-range storage array, okay, I'm not used mid-range storage array yet in NetApp. So if you're using any mid-range storage array, okay, then it will be mostly, okay, sorry, I have not, one second. Yeah, so it will mostly active passive. Okay, active passive. When you use mid-range or small entry level, yeah, tell me.
Sir, these entry level arrays are generally active only.
Yeah, entry level, it depends. Okay, it depends. In entry level also, entry level maybe not active, but mid-range also we are having active. Okay, but it depends. It totally depends on the array. Okay, on vendor. Okay, but this is something you have to know. Active, what are active arrays, what are active passive arrays, this is something you have to know. Even the fast controllers we have, right, these are active arrays. AFF controllers, it is active arrays. Okay, so whatever you see in NetApp will be active arrays. Okay, most likely it will be active arrays. If you are having some old 7 mode, like there is one company, TPM Guru, okay, who asked me to do some support for them. I didn't do that because I do not want to do 2 jobs. Okay, and run into problems, so I didn't do that. So what they are having, they are supporting lot of companies, and most of the companies they are supporting are using old products who are like end of life products. Okay, so they are having active passive arrays like old, I don't remember the model name, but they are having it, and they are having lot of issues. It's not about because of the active passive, because the NetApp is not supporting. NetApp is supporting means what storage vendor wants. Storage vendor wants that every 5 years you do take refresh. I told you what take refresh is. Take refresh means if your array becomes end of life, you purchase a new array which is supported by NetApp, and then you migrate the data. You can migrate the data using storage level migrations. That storage level migration will be done by you. If you're doing host level migrations, that will be taken care by the host team. Okay, and then you bring the data to your new array, which is supported array. Okay, so I used to work in a company like Hitachi Vantara, so there are take refresh is always going on in that company, always. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so in active passive array, what you do, suppose a host is performing an IO. Okay, so it's suppose it's a SAN. Okay, so what it will do, it will, the IO will go to the LAN, through the LAN which is by owned by that controller. Okay, only by the controller. Okay, and once suppose this path is not available, right, so what we will do, this other controller will take over the operations. Okay, but this failover, okay, it will take some time. Has any of you worked on VNX 1? In VNX you will see
Yes,
active
sir.
passive, and you will see LAN trespassing issues. Okay, LAN trespassing means, suppose because for some network glitch or something, your one of the path, like the controller which is owning the LAN, it has, this path is having some problem, so the LANs will be trespassed to the other controller, and then it will have some latency because you are the server is accessing the LAN, which is not owned by the controller, so you will have latency issues. Okay, so that can only happen in active passive arrays. Okay, okay, so your basically your input is happening only from the active path, not from the passive path. Okay, only the passive path will be used whenever there is some issues. Okay, there is some issues, then only the passive path will be used. But if the LAN is, if the space or the data is being written on the other controller to the other controller, then you will have some latency issues if it is not the controller which was owning the LAN. Okay, so but this is only in mid-range and high-end, mid-range and lower, like entry-level arrays, not high-end arrays like all flash arrays, and even fast arrays, those are active. Okay, so you have to make sure that, so if somebody asks you what this array is, NetApp AFF all flash array, you say active array, you say it's an active array. Okay, not active passive. Okay, so this is what you say. Okay, okay, so do you understand the things that I'm talking about? Hello, did you understand this thing, this part, what is active and what is active passive,
Yes.
and why active is
Yeah.
better, and why enterprise level array is better than mid-range arrays? You
Yes,
understand,
sir.
right?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
sir. Yes, sir.
And in my earlier classes I discuss about what is DAS, what is SAN, right, what is DAS, I did direct data storage, I told you. Okay, what is FC also, that I told you. Okay, so these things I told you. Okay,
Sir, sorry, sir. Maybe there is some confusion. Sir, we didn't discuss about the enterprise storage array, right? We just covered the entry level and mid level, right?
no, these are just basics, we haven't covered anything actually, means we have not entered the part of NetApp, just basics I'm covering. Yes, we did cover high end. High end means just a basic thing. Basic thing. I have not.
Oh,
I will explain the architecture of all flash array. Okay, of NetApp. I'm just
oh,
giving the
oh.
basic thing of, like, what, how do you understand any storage, not only NetApp. So I'm just giving you basic thing. So once you understand the basic, then you can understand any. You'll be able to understand any storage. Okay. So I'm just giving you basic thing, basic part.
Sure.
Okay. So Brocade, SAN, switch. Okay, just let me go to the images. Uh, Architecture. images. Okay, 1 second. This is okay, better I think. Yeah. So what we normally do in maybe this one is better I think. Some better view. Second. Is also okay. This is just one storage. I want to show some redundancy, which I can show you here. No. Anyway, this is what I'll do. Okay. So normally what you do is, in real-time situations, what you do is, you have your storage here. Okay. So Sandy guys. Okay. So you have your storage here. Okay. You have the switches here. So this won't be one switch. Okay. This will be collection of switches. You called it as fabric. Fabric is a collection of switches. So you have the fabric here. You have fabric A, fabric B. Normally, in most of the projects, they will be called as fabric A, fabric B. Okay. And then what you do, you connect the FC port to one of the switches in fabric A. You connect another FC port from another storage controller to another to one of the switches in fabric B. You connect the HBA to this fabric. You connect the this server, probably the same server you can call it. Okay, same server. You connect the other HBA to this fabric, and then you zone them. Okay, you zone them. Okay. So this is you do. This thing is called as FC SAN, fiber channel SAN. This implementation is SAN implementation. You call it as SAN implementation. This is SAN implementation. So here what you're using, what your SAN architecture is using, you're using SAN switches. It can be Brocade, it can be Cisco. You're using fiber cables. This is fiber cables, not copper cables. You're using external storage array. Okay. You're using server HBA. So these are the components you are using. Okay. So here using SAN. This is SAN. Okay. Okay. So this is you have to know. Okay. And here in server you have the port, right? The host. I will tell you one thing. This server here, it can be host. Okay. It can be a tape. It can be tape libraries. Okay, for backup, or it can be a storage also. Suppose you want to do replication from one storage to other storage, then what you do? You connect the FC port of this storage array to this fabric. You connect the FC port from another storage array to this, and you do zoning between them. Okay. So this is you do. So what you are doing? You are doing the zoning between front end port of your source storage array where the production volumes will be there, and you are zoning with the front end port of your target storage array where the replications like target volumes will be there. Okay. So that's what you're doing. So your source and target, the members would be this will be called as node. They will call it as node here. Okay. These are nodes. Okay. See, that is one thing. In storage, the controller will call as node in NetApp, but even the host will be called as node in terms of SAN. Okay. Like host means host can be just a server like Windows server, Linux server, AX server. It can be a tape library. Okay. And it can also be a storage if you're using replications. Okay. And this will be called as nodes. Nodes are basically, it can be source or destination. Okay. It can be source or destination. Okay. And these nodes will have what? These nodes will have HBS, right? In case of storage, it will have front end ports. Okay. So this will have, if it is a server, then you will have HBA, right? And the storage, what will have? It will have front end ports, right? And these ports will have, it will be like it will have the transmission link, like the ports will have TX and RX. Transmit link and receive link. Okay, transmit link means it is transmitting some frames, right? So the transmitter, the transmitter will transmit the frames, and receiver will accept the frames. Okay, so you will have both the transmit and receive in your port. Okay, in your port. Okay, so that you will have. Okay, TX and RX, that you will have in your port. Okay, so let me show you this. Okay, it's very difficult actually, no? One second. So you'll have a picture like this. Okay, this is a picture. This node is, it can be a storage, it can be a, even the storage ports will have the same thing, transmitter and receiver. Switch port will also have transmitter and receiver. Okay, this is HBA. Okay, so this HBA, these are ports, right? So ports will have TX and RX link. Okay, TX and RX links. Your ports will have TX and RX links. Okay, so this is something you have to understand. Okay, because when I do CRC troubleshooting, right, so this concepts I will discuss, because these things, CRC error, suppose your storage is getting lot of CRC errors on a port, right? So you have to troubleshoot whether the issue is in from storage port or the switch port by checking the CRC errors that are incrementing after clearing the errors. If it is incrementing in the receiver end, then that means it's a problem with the storage SFP. Okay, SFP and the storage port. And if it is a problem, if it is incrementing at the transmitter end, then the problem is with switch SFP. Okay, so I'll discuss that when I discuss this. Okay, so these are the things I'll discuss. Okay, and then the another thing you have to know is cabling. Okay, and one more thing, this cabling, after the cabling is done, everything done, right? So every project will be different. Sometimes for cabling you will have some third party support who will just support the cabling. If there is some problem with the cabling, some disconnection issues or some leakage or something, they will you just need to raise a request. They will go to that site, they will dig down the mitti, like earth. Okay, they will they will just dig it down, and they will just find out the cable, and then they will do some loop back testing, and they will fix it. Okay, so this SAN implementation, right, if you are using SAN infrastructure, right, so use fiber cable. Okay, use fiber cable, because your copper cable that is used for LAN or Ethernet switches, it can only be used for shorter distances. Okay, because the signal to noise ratio is only copper cable can only do up to 30 meters, not beyond 30 meters it cannot do. So that's why you need to use fiber cable. Fiber cable will carry the data in form of lights. Okay, and there are two type of optical cable or fiber cable you have to know. Okay, multi-mode and single mode. Okay, multi-mode and single mode. Okay, so multi-mode, what will happen, the multi-mode cable, what it will do, it will carry multiple beam of light. Okay, in different angles. Okay, different angles, different wavelengths. But single mode fiber will carry a single ray of light. Okay, and it will have only one angle, that is center. Okay, so that's, you don't have to know that much. So you just need to know that multi-mode is better, and multi-mode is having more, you can, the single mode, like the single mode can be used up to like 10 kilometers. Okay, up to like 10, so it is limited. Okay, but the multi-mode, it can be used to, sorry, I'm wrong here. Multi-mode can be used only for 500 meters. Okay, Multi-mode only 500 meters. Okay, I'm wrong actually. Multi-mode, single mode is better. It is used for 10 km. Okay, single mode is 10 km. Okay, normally you don't have to know. You have to only know that you have fiber cables. You use fiber cables for. Yeah, yeah. Please accept them. Yeah. Let me talk. So the multi-mode is better actually. I was wrong. Okay, the multi-mode is better. The multi-mode you can use up to 500 meters. Okay, but single mode is better. So single mode you can use up to 10 kilometers. Okay, so for long distance you can use single mode. Multi-mode you can only use for shorter distances. Okay, only for shorter distances. Okay, so that is something there. Okay, so basically for SAN what you are doing? For SAN what you are doing? First you are doing zoning. First you're doing zoning in switch end, and then you are doing LAN masking at storage end. Okay, so that's what you're doing. Okay, and you have to know that you are installing multipathing software at server end. Okay, multipathing software,
Uh,
this is very important. Yeah,
Sir, single mode used for long distance.
yeah, single mode is long distance. So I was wrong. Multi-mode because it
So,
is having many rays, so the rays is not that much. How do I say, stronger? I would say. So it is not able to cover more distance. So single mode is covering more distance. And if you are using synchronous applications, synchronous means I in first or second session I told you about what is synchronous, what is asynchronous. Like whenever the data that suppose your server is trying to write the data on the primary storage, right? So once the data will be copied to the cache of the remote storage area, then the acknowledgement will come. So there is a round trip delay and you'll have recovery time objective will be 0. So I explained you all these things. Okay, RTO and RPO. So they will ask you these things in interview. RTO, what is RPO, what is RTO? They will ask you. Okay,
means single mode is more benefit you're saying, na? So
yeah,
why? Because it's long distance use or any another reason?
yeah, long distance only because it can cover long distance. That is the only reason. It can cover long
Okay,
distance. Okay,
okay.
so here in synchronous replication, your RPO is 0. RPO means during the time of disaster, you not lose the data. You not have any data loss. But if it is asynchronous, you lose the data. So please check my second session. Okay, second day session, you will have all this. I have explained this, but during the time of replication also, I'll explain this in a better way. Okay, so one by one and go. So in synchronous replication, you have to use DWDM cables. It's a dark fiber cables. You use this, okay? And these cables are costly. This is some different cables. This there dark fiber. They call it as dark fiber cable. Okay, this is a costlier cable, and you use this only for synchronous replication. Okay, not for asynchronous. Use dark fiber cables. They might ask you this for synchronous. What kind of cable you use? You say DWDM. DWDM. I was, when I was in Pune, right? I stayed in Pune for a shorter period of time. I opened a company named DWDM for transport. Just I was trying to see whether I could do that or not. I didn't do anything. I just transported like one or two things. But in Pune, right? So I just named a company. So DWDM. You can search in Google like what is the full form. It's very long name. So it's a DWDM. Okay, DWDM. Dark fiber cables. Use this for synchronous replication. Synchronous replication where your RPO will be 0. RPO means recovery point objective, means how much data you can afford to lose during the time of a disaster. RTO is recovery time objective, means how much time will it take for the application to be up and running during the time of disaster. Okay, so these things they will ask you during interviews. they will definitely ask you this thing, RPO and RTO. Okay. So I used to take, I have taken a lot of interviews when I was part of TCS. In the present company, I'm not taking it because to take the interview, you need to give some exam. I don't want to give the exam. Okay. It's pointless to waste the time for that. Okay. So anyway, and anyway, if you even if you take the interview also, they'll give you what 500 points. It's useless only. Okay. So anyway, so what we do is, so in SAN, this what are the storage components you are using? Can you answer? What are the storage components you are using in SAN?
Fabric
HBA.
switches, Windows,
SAN switches, fabric switches,
H,
yes, and
HBS,
yes, and
and logical learn also in terms of
LAN is
logical.
logical thing. Like what are physical
Mhm.
component you are using? Let me rephrase the question. Physical component.
Controllers,
Yeah, FC cables, fans,
Cables,
switches, HVA,
cables.
FVA.
Yes,
controllers,
yes, controllers. Like front end port of controllers. You can say front end ports of nodes or controllers. What else? I think that's it. Yeah, this is your physical part. Logical part is
protocols,
different. Yeah, yeah.
logical. Mhm. Yeah, in logical protocol also that. Yeah.
Logical part is like LAN, volume, aggregate, vServer. I will talking about vServer. Leaf is also there.
vServer,
Okay.
Leaf,
Yeah.
Leaf, iGroup,
Yeah, protocol,
iGroup.
SAN protocol also.
Yeah. iGroup.
multipath.
Multipath. Yeah. Exactly. Multipath. These are logical components. PHY. Why I'm teaching you like this? It will be easy for you to understand. And when I teach you NetApp, I will always draw the flowchart diagram. So that you understand this. Okay. Yeah. Now I will teach you more about things. On earlier time there was one component. Okay. So I will tell you this thing. So in earlier time, like long back, so we used to use a component. We used to use architecture P2P, point to point. In Hitachi also we were having it. In NetApp also we used to have it. Okay, point to point. Any other storage we used to have it. P2P. It called as P2P. Okay. So let me show you the architecture. This is architecture P2P, point to point. Point to point means what? This is your server. Please mute yourself. Okay. There is an option like mute everybody. Yeah. So what we are doing here, P2P, point to point. So we have the storage front end port, we have the server HBA. We are connecting directly without having any switches. We're not using any switches. In this case also we can do this. Okay, we can allocate storage, but normally when you used to use DAS, like back in 2009 2005, uh, direct attached storage, we used to use P2P. This is point to point topology. Okay, what is limitation here? The limitation is that this front end port you are only able to use for only one server, so you are not able to use this front end port for any other servers. So your cost is being increased, your cost is getting increased because you have limited front end ports. Your array is having limited front end ports, it's not having unlimited front end ports, it's not having unlimited ports. So once all the ports are used or exhausted, then you need to purchase other arrays. Okay, which is not a good idea. So that's why we do not use the P2P protocol anymore. We use the FC topology. We do not use P2P point to point topology anymore. Okay, because it is having limited connectivity. Only these devices are able to communicate and the front end ports are getting exhausted. Okay, it is not able to accommodate larger number of servers. So that's why you are using switch. You understand why you're using switch, right? They will ask you, why do you use switch? So you can tell them, sir, if I'm not using switch, we can also do that. We can directly connect the front end port with server HBA, but in that case, that front end port will be used only for that server. We cannot use that front end port for any other server. So that is one of the reason we use switches. You can tell them, okay? So they will ask you this. And then we have the FCAL and all things. You don't have to know that. Fiber channel arbitrated loop. You don't have to know that, okay? So that is something you don't have to know, okay? So there are many things are there, okay? So
Sir,
yeah, please go ahead.
ideally in one fabric, how many switches will be there? 2, 3, or more than that?
There is some limitations. I have to check it, okay? There are some limitations. 100% limitations are there, okay?
In
256
that also
probably. I
there
think
will
256 maybe. How many switches can be on a fabric? SAN switches. Search. I have to check it, right, because 32 is very less. I don't think 32 maybe may not be the correct number, okay? 32 shows very less, bro. Very less. Okay.
and also in the fabric there will be like a switch called a primary switch.
Yeah, what are you
So
saying?
this in fabric also there will be a switch called the primary switch.
Yes,
Which
yes.
will be
Primary
doing the job.
switches and all other switches are slave switches. So the switch which is having domain ID of 1, it will be elected as primary switches. There are 3 types of election policies to understand, like to elect the primary switch. So I will discuss about that. Okay. So I have to just check that thing on. Okay. So because I did this like when I was part of GenPack project in Hyderabad. If somebody is from Hyderabad, you would be knowing Uppal area, Hapsiguda Uppal. So there is a GenPack project. So I used to work there. Okay. So yeah. So I'll discuss about that. But normally what you do is that initially whenever you work, right, so you'll already have the fabric, okay? So mostly what your job would be to probably add a new switch or maybe decommission a switch. That's what you do. You will not get the job to create a new fabric. That is like it may never happen, okay? It can only happen if you're working in a transformation project, like your project is new and it's building all the infrastructure. That will be very rare, okay? That will be very rare. So here it is saying 32 switches, but I may not be. It may not be this. May not be the right information. So I will check with. I will check with Brocket. Brocket, and let you know. Okay, because I do have more than 32 switches in my fabric. I do have lot more than that switches. Okay, so I will check that and let you know. Okay, so how many switches can be there in a particular fabric? Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Sir, one question. Sir, why we use interswitch link between two switches for port extension? Yeah, anything else for speed performance also?
Yeah. So you are talking about interswitch. You are
ISL,
talking about
yeah,
ISLs, right? Are you talking about ISL?
yes. It is used for port extension only. Yeah, it effective speed performance also on this switch.
Yeah, that is a good question. So I'll tell you one thing. So suppose you are having one switch, right? But you want to create a fabric. So how do you do that? The only way to do this is to connect one cable from this switch to another switch, and the port attribute of that switch will be e port, extended port, and this is basically ISL. So you are creating ISL. So this cable, what you are saying, this is ISL, okay? So ISL is used for extending the fabric or creating fabrics. If you are having only one switch, you don't need ISL. But if you have multiple switches, you would be needing ISL to connect one switch or another switch so that the traffic from one switch to another switch flows. Okay. So to create the fabric, to extend the fabric, you'd need ISLs. Otherwise, your frames will not be propagate from one switch to other switch in that fabric. Okay.
Means port extension. For port extension, we are using ISL, so we will get more
Extension,
ports.
not like this, not like this. Port extension, suppose you want to aggregate 4 ports together, right? So the concept is called as trunking, not ISL, trunking. They will call it as trunking. Okay, I will also discuss these things with you. Okay, because I thought that I'll give you guys also SAN switch class, like not that on L3 level, but in some level which you can help you in SAN. Okay, so I will teach you guys those things also. Okay, so did you understand my thing? So you are asking that port extensions. Okay, so first tell me, what do you mean by port extension? So what are you trying to mean here by port extension? Are you trying
Uh,
to mean that you want to aggregate 4 ports together to have better speed?
Means in the intro, I ask why we use ISL.
Hmm.
E-port, why we
You can
using
see to create
ISL.
fabrics, you can see to connect one switch with another switch, you use ISL. That will be the basic basic explanation. To connect one switch with another switch, we need ISL. You tell them that. Okay. And ISLs are two types:
Means
physical
two
ISL
switch
and
for
logical ISL. Yeah, yeah. Tell me.
two switch between two switch connection we are using ISL. You are saying we
Yes,
can say
yes,
that.
yes. Without that, you cannot do. You need to do ISL configurations to propagate the data from one switch, to propagate the frame from one switch to another switch. You need to have ISLs. I'll tell you what you need to do. Suppose you have a fabric, right? A fabric is having, and your host HB is connected to one of the switches in the fabric, and your storage front end port is connected to the uh, some other switch in the fabric, right? And you are doing zoning. How do you do zoning? So the switches has to be connected, right? The switches has to be connected. The switches will be connected with fiber cables, and the ports that will be connected to the switch port where the fiber cables will connected to will be at the port at will be E port. Okay, E extender. Okay, extension. And then this port, this cable, this connection will be like, they'll call it as ISL. But there is also a concept of logical ISL. Logical ISL, when you create, suppose you have a switch or you have a fabric, you want to create separate database because you have two different tenant, or maybe you want to use you want to keep the replication ports to one database and for zoning other database, so ports to other database. So you can create virtual fabrics, and you will be, the logical ISS will be created to connect the one switch to another switch. Okay, I'll share you the lecture. Okay, because this will also be a 1 hour lecture, bro, to create the logical ISL. This logical ISL normally L2 people don't need, L3 people will need. Okay, so that is logical ISL. Why you need? There's a person, VK Sharma, who is the storage architect. He works in Netherlands. Okay, so he took my training here. So he needed the logical ISL creation. Why? Because he wanted to separate the replication traffic from the regular traffic. So that's the reason he did this. And how the logical ISL will be created? There is a command like uh, lisl enable, lisl enable command, that you have to go after logging to the virtual switch. In NetApp, right, when you used to 7 mode, right, we used to do vfiler context to log into the filer. Similar to that, in Brocket switch, we have a command, context. I forgot the actual command. Okay, I'll just check that. So some context command is the set context. I think set context. The set context is there, and then you can log into the particular virtual fabric, and then you can do logical ISL configurations. Okay, so you have to understand ISL is a mechanism. ISL is a cabling, you can say, connection that you do to connect one switch and another switch. It can be to create, extend the fabric, or it can be to connect one switch with another switch. And it's a physical connectivity. It's not logical. You can tell them that is a two ISLs are there, physical and logical, so he'll be happy to know this. because many people will not have worked in virtual fabrics. Okay, even can anyone tell here who is working in storage, do you have virtual fabrics in environment? Do you have logical fabrics? Praveen, do you have logical fabrics? Praveen and let me check. Mahesh is there.
They will know like virtual fabrics will be created in nuclear switch, right? Port like the switch have the 40 ports. So we need to segregate the 10 ports for data and 10 ports for replication. Then we need to create the virtual fabric. So
Yes. So first, initially you will have basic switch. Okay. So suppose you want to
yeah,
create virtual fabric, you will create a virtual fabric there. You will mention the FID, fabric ID. Okay, and you'll mention the fabric ID and domain ID also. I need to check domain ID also. Probably you need to mention. Okay. So fabric ID, domain ID you need to mention, and you need to move the port from your basic switch to the virtual fabric. Okay, you need to move the ports, yes, and you can
okay,
probably use those ports, like you create a zoning database, zoning configuration like CFG create, and that CFG will be different from the CFG of your basic switch, so you can segregate. Okay,
okay. And also like
I
we are creating one within a one physical switch, we are creating the multiple logical switches, right?
yes, like in NetApp we have IP space concept, right, for multi-tenancy.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
Hitachi we have SLPR concepts, storage logical partitions. In Cisco we have vSAN concepts, inter vSAN or vSAN. Similar to Brocade we have logical ISLs, sorry, logical fabrics or virtual fabrics. Logical fabrics
So
or virtual fabrics. Okay, so that's how it is. Okay, but that is very rare. I have only done in my experience only one time. That was in my first project. I have never done that in any other project till now. But I have done that for my trainees. Not because normally they don't need it. Okay? Normally they don't need it. Okay? Okay? Yeah. So let me also tell you some more things today. I think tomorrow, not tomorrow, sorry, Sunday we can have another session. Okay, so in that session I will explain you the architecture of switches. I'll explain to you different ports, fiber channel ports, like what is in port, what is E port, what is F port, what is G port, and what happens when there is some issue with the port. So what attributes it will normally automatically take. Okay, so these are the things I'll explain to you. Okay, and I'll also explain to you fiber channel stack. Okay, how the fiber chain addressing is done. Okay, so these things also I'll explain to you. Okay, and I will also explain to you input ID virtualization. It is input ID virtualizations is important for your ESX server and AIX server. Okay, and WinFrame. Okay, so these are the things, and also Nutanix and all these things. Okay, so these are important. Okay, so because Reena, or I think Reena, or maybe Vinny, I think somebody asked me the question, right? So have you ever been asked this question, what is NPIV? Did anyone ask you this question, what is NPIV, during the interview?
yeah, yes, yeah,
They didn't ask you?
yeah, yeah.
FCIP they ask, I think FCIP.
Yeah, that is fiber channel
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
over IP.
Yes, sir. NPIV. Yes.
FCIP fiber channel over IP, like FC will be your SCSI commands will be encapsulated in IP, and it will be sent via Ethernet switches. So you are using Ethernet switches instead of SAN switches for FCIP environment. Okay, and FCIP I have used this. I've used this. Yes, I've used this, which is Chessington Dorking. Yeah, I've used this for Hitachi replications, FCIP. Okay, there'll be a router in Brocade which will be called as FCIP router. DCX 7800 is the model. Okay, which is having FCIP routing capabilities. Okay, so FCIP is there. FCIP means, suppose you are doing replications, like at the distance is like more than 500 kilometers, 500 miles, like that. Okay, so you'll be using some routers, FCIP routers. So it will encapsulate your FC data to IP, and it will send. Okay, but we use this for SAN only. Okay, so that is something there. in any case you are not able to tell any answer, right? So you can tell them, sir, I do not have any FCIP connectivity or FCIP infrastructure in my project. I have FC infrastructure. Like that you can tell. Okay, or this is something you can tell, or maybe you can tell that the distance between my replications are 50 miles. So like that you can avoid the questions by telling that you don't have that in your infrastructure, in case you don't know it. Okay, because you may not know 100%. And you said that NPIV, so NPIV I'll also discuss. Endpoint ID virtualization. There are two things, NPIV and NPV. Endpoint virtualizations, NPIV and NPV. NPV you don't need to know because they won't ask you, but there are, it's also there. Okay, so these are the things they will ask you, these basic things. Okay, so I'll on Sunday I'll tell you about how the core edge topology, full mesh, partial mesh, how the 2-tier, 3-tier FC topologies are there. Okay, fiber channel ports. So these are the things I'll discuss. Okay, ISL also I'll discuss. Okay, in fiber channel stack. So these are things I'll discuss. Okay, and in any case you want some sessions, right? You said like how the this thing, right? How the selection of principal switch happens, right? So those things, just note it down. I'll also discuss. Okay, so you can ask me more things, I can add those things in topic. Okay, so whatever L2 stuff is there, L2 people can ask, and I can add this in L2 topic. L3 thing I can add. And in any case it is not able to, I'm not able to cover it within 3 months or 4 months, the next batch obviously will get it. Okay, because I was still we have limitations like 3 months, 3.5 months we do, right? So because the thing is, there are so many things to cover, and we all, it will take 6 months. In reality it will take 6 months, because NetApp is not as easy compared to Hitachi or EMC or Pure Storage. Pure Storage is the easiest probably. Okay, so you have to understand a lot. So what I said, we can do tape zoning of tape library with storage, because sometimes I'll tell you data domain, right? So I don't know whether data domain people uses it now or not, but back in 2013 or 12 there was data domain. Okay, so what we used to use, we used to zone the data domain front end ports with data mover of VNX arrays. Okay, so what you are doing, you are doing zoning. So this data, your backup tool is also a node. Okay, you are zoning the backup ports with storage ports, and then you are able to do backup, like you are able to use the storage capacity for backup. Okay, so you have to know these basic things. Okay, so we'll have the training again. Okay, on Sunday. Tomorrow I'll be traveling, so Sunday we'll have the training at 8 p.m. Okay, and then once the SAN switch is covered, then I will again go with the NAS architecture, little bit in depth. I will go into the NAS architecture, and then we'll move on to the NetApp classes. Okay, and I'll make sure that you understand everything about the storage basics, so that the people who are not let me ask you some questions. Yeah, good. So Reena, and I think one second, was there, no, yeah, Vinny, I think Vinny, you have worked on storage, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then you may not, you'll be knowing these things. Okay, then you don't need to ask. So here Reena, Vinay and Nikhil, yeah, I think you guys have not worked on storage, right?
Yes, sir. I'm working that at
No, right? Yeah. So I'll ask you guys basic questions. Okay, so what is FC and what is iSCSI? I discussed this. What is FC protocol? What is iSCSI protocol? And in what situation we'll use this?
FC is fiber channel protocol. It is used in SAN and for block level. iSCSI is Ethernet switch, as you tell.
Yeah. But iSCSI, are you using iSCSI for NAS or SAN?
Also using
NAS or SAN?
iSCSI used for the SAN.
Yes. iSCSI using for
Both
SAN.
can use for a SAN, but for FC switches there is a HBA ports, and for iSCSI there is a Ethernet port. So NIC will be there, and that's the main difference.
Yes. So iSCSI we are using Ethernet switches. FC you are using SAN switches. iSCSI we are not doing zoning. FC we are doing zoning. iSCSI, the performance will be worse compared to FC because we are using Ethernet switches and we are using copper cable, so it has distance limitation. It is not that good, compared to the FC. Okay. And iSCSI, we also use something like FC. We are using HBA, right? So iSCSI we are using NIC of server, NIC, network interface card, and iSCSI we are not using the WLPN number but IQN number. In the NetApp class I'll tell you IQN number. It's a big number. Okay, there is some format, I forgot the format name, some name will be there, naming convention. And WLPN number that you use in for FC, right? It will be a 16-bit number, 8 byte, 1 byte equal to 2 bits, so 8 into 2 16, so 16-bit number which will be a globally unique number. Not, yeah, one thing I want to tell you, in EXX servers sometimes you'll get duplicate WLPN issues. Okay, duplicate, but then you have to tell the vendor that I'm getting duplicate WLPN numbers and they will fix you that. Okay, but normally you not get duplicate WLPN issues, so your WLPN numbers will be unique. It will be unique. No two WLPN numbers will be same. Okay, WLPN numbers worldwide, WLPN worldwide port name, worldwide node name. I'll also discuss you about these things. Okay, that's the problem, there are too much thing to discuss. Okay, WLPN number, WLAN number. Okay, so does anyone know what is WLPN number, WLAN number? I think I discussed this probably, little bit I discussed.
Even if for port, right?
Yeah, one is
HBA.
port and one is node.
Suppose you have a HBA, you have a dual port HBA, one HBA, 2 ports, then you will have one node name but 2 port name. So port number, one node number and 2 port number. When you do zoning, use the WLPN numbers, not the WLAN numbers. Suppose you want the HBA WLPN numbers, right? So sometimes by mistake your ESX team will give you the WLAN numbers instead of giving you WLPN numbers. So you have to identify that they're giving it correctly. And even though they are giving it incorrectly, what you can do, even if you do node find, you will be able to see the port there, and from there you just log into the particular switch where the ESX server is physically connected, and then if you do port show, you will be able to see both the WLPN number and NN number, and use the WLPN number, not the NN number, for zoning. Worldwide node number, worldwide port number, worldwide port number. So they will ask you what is
For hard
WLPN.
zoning, yeah, for hard zoning we are using WWNN or WWPN.
No. Hard zoning you will not use this. Hard zoning you will not use WLPN number or WLAN number. Okay, you will not use this. Okay, hard zoning is completely different. You will be using port number and domain IDs. It is completely different and it is not required. If you want, you can use this, not a problem. Okay, but it is not required. It is more secure, yes, but your client will never approve for hard zoning. Okay, they will never approve for hard zoning. Okay, so if you want, I'll also show you how do you do hard zoning, during the zoning class. I'll show you this. If you want, I will show you this, but it's not something that you require. Okay, it's not something that you require. Okay, so you will not be using WLPN number or NN number in hard zoning. You'll be using switch port name and domain ID of the switch. Okay, so you'll not be using this. Okay, and there is a mix zoning also, where you will use both the WLPN number and domain ID and port name. It's called mixed zoning, and you should not be using mixed zoning. Okay, in long time ago I saw that mixed zoning being used. Okay, but you should not be using mixed zoning. Okay, in your environment you should only use whenever somebody is asking you to zoning. What you need to do, you just log into the switch with your admin credentials or maybe your own user credential which has admin privilege, and you just do zone show, and you just go to the particular zone, and then you'll be able to see, if you see the WLPN number, that means it's using soft zoning or WLPN based zoning. Then the new zoning that you create is WLPN zoning or soft zoning. So why use subzoning? Suppose the switch port is faulty. You don't have to do zoning again. You just need to replace the switch port, because the WLPN number of your server HBA and storage front-end port is remain unchanged. But I will tell you some issues. In Hitachi, right, I got issues like I have something like command device, okay, which is used for management of Hitachi using CLI. So this command device will be, I'll give it, I'll allocate that 50 MB LAN from storage to one of the host, which I'll make a CCI server, replication server, or CCI server, command control interface, RAIDCOM server, okay. So sometimes what if I'm using a VM, then VHB WLPA number will be changed, okay. So the command device will run, that command device will be corrupted. So I have to again change the zoning, but that is a rare situation. So in case your HBA is faulty, then you have to change the zoning, because the WLPA number of new HBA will change. So that you need to change the zoning, okay. So they will ask you what is the advantages of WLP soft zoning, hard zoning. I'll discuss you about this thing, okay. So they will ask you these questions: soft zoning and hard zoning difference. I can tell you probably 90% of the question they'll ask you, okay, because 10% of the questions will depend on the experience of an interviewer. So whatever they have worked on it recently, okay. Okay, I think Nikhil is probably having some meeting or something, so that's why he left. No issues, okay. So we'll have the session on Monday, bro. Okay. So guys, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I have one question, one scenario. So suppose we have one volume and it's we are using thin provisioning there, and client don't have any knowledge about that, whether we are using thin or thick. Okay, so we have given 100 GB space. Okay, and the requirement of the app is 10 GB, 100 GB, sorry, 10 GB. Okay, so client don't know, and client have starting to fill up the space, and now it's taken up to 30 GB. So, and we are not in the shift. Okay, storage team is not on the shift, and we have did the thin provisioning there. So what will be the scenario, and what will be the we will get some what are the problems we will face there? So can you explain
Client,
that?
how much space client wanted? 10 GB or 100 GB?
We have given 100 GB. Client want 100 GB, but the app team said that it only required 20 GB for the for app purpose. Yeah,
Okay, 20 GB, right?
yeah,
So I'll tell you one thing you can do. You
yeah.
can create a volume. You can create
Hmm.
a no, that will be difficult. So here in this case, right, there are things you can do, like shrink the volume, but shrinking the volume is never recommended, because it can do data
Yeah.
corruption. The client can lose the data. Hmm. You can tell them, the application team, that as you have requested 100 GB, as the server team requested 100 GB, so you have given 100 GB. We cannot do anything. You can tell them. So there was something I could have done, which is like, uh, having a cap, like creating a uh, it's not something you could have done this thing, okay. So you you created a volume, and what is this, are you using LAN or share on top of that
No,
volume?
no, it's just kind of scenario. I thought if this will be the problem, so what we will
So
do.
are you using, which storage are
So
you using, Hitachi, NetApp, EMC?
NetApp only, but yeah, but the scenario not came now, but just for
Yeah, yeah. For
future
one
purpose.
scenario
Yeah.
which I would have done is, suppose you are using thin provisioning, right? So no, suppose
Yeah.
not this. Suppose I will tell you one thing that you can do. You created a volume, and the client want only 20 GB. So you could have created a queue tree and put quota on it. So even though the volume is like
Hmm.
100 GB, they can only use 20 GB. And if the client requests for more space, you can extend the queue tree size quota. You can extend the quota. That is one of the solutions, okay. But in
Hmm.
case you have already done it, you want to shrink the space, okay. The shrinking the space options are there in your tab, but it's never recommended. The reason why it's recommended, because when you have the LAN, right, So it will run, it will write 000 on the data which is not even, which is free also. It will write 000. So in case you want to do shrinking, what it will do? It will reclaim the zero. This process is called as ZPR, zero page reclaim. Okay. So it will do zero
Okay.
page reclaim, and in this process you may lose some data. So you don't want this to happen. So that's the problem. Okay.
Okay. And there is one more. If we will reverse the situation, means client means now the app requirement is 30 GB, and earlier we have given the 20 GB thin provisioning. Okay, so in that case, what will be the scenario? Means what will be
The
the
scenario will
problem
be
we
is
will
nothing.
face?
You just need to suppose you have 20 GB, your client requires 30 GB. You just increase the space by 20 GB, expand the LUN, expand the volume. If it is a share,
Yeah,
then
yeah, but
expand the volume. Yeah.
in starting, client said that they want the 30 GB. Okay. For cost optimization, we discussed with the app team, and app team said that we require only 20 GB.
Hello. You got muted.
Yeah, yeah. So what I'm saying, uh, earlier it's discussed that client discussed that they want 30 GB.
Okay.
But when we discussed with the app team, they told us that it will be only 20 GB, so we can do the thin provisioning there, and we will show client that we have provided the 30 GB there.
Okay. So you provided 30 GB
Uh,
LUN, right?
yeah, no, no, no. We have provided 30 GB, but we did the thin provisioning there. So if
Okay.
yeah, if the 20 GB got full, so what will be the happen then?
20 GB is getting full, right? So client will
Yeah,
like it will try to fill up more space. It will nothing will happen
yeah,
as
it
long
will.
as you have free space. You have at least 99% of free space. Nothing like, sorry, 99%. So you'll have like at least like 5% free space. Nothing will happen. You'll not have any
Okay.
issues.
No, no, just I'm saying that now the app team is filling 25 GB, but we have set a threshold to 20 GB only,
Okay, you have
and our
set a
thin
threshold to
provision.
20 GB. Okay, let me
Yeah,
log
yeah.
into NetApp. One second. Let me log into NetApp. Let me log into NetApp. Okay, one second. I want to understand your question.
Maybe he will not read and write further.
Yeah, if you do not have free space, right, it can do only read. It can do read, but it cannot do write. So your the snapshots which are newly created, right, uh, it don't use the like it don't have the right data. Like the snapshot space will be same only. You understand, right? You'll be able to. It can only do read input output, read IOs, not write IOs. Okay. I have taken like 256 to 57 sessions so far in this, using LAN infra. I used to give training back in 2015-16 also for Hitachi storage, but I didn't know how to market myself. So I had a LinkedIn group, storage consultant. So I gave some training to some Canadian guys there. Anyway, so nowadays, yeah, I did not have any channel or anything. So row zero, okay. Row zero is a command that you normally give. So I've just logged into my NetApp cluster. This IP that I used is cluster management leaf IP. Okay, please mute yourself because noise is coming, right? It's a little bit irritating. Yeah, so here, right, cluster memory leaf, right? So this is the IP I use to log into this, interface. And this row zero command, why I given? Because if I do not give the row zero command, and if the output is long, then it will stuck in between. It will not show me the entire output. It will not show me the entire output. It will go like, okay. So this is my aggregates. These are my aggregates. Okay, these are my root aggregates. So that is what this having. This is having only RDB and on top operating system. database and on-type operating system it is having, and audit volumes it is having, audit data. Okay, this root aggregate, nothing else it is having. Okay, if you want to do something, you have to create data aggregates. You see it is showing RateDB because I said by default NetApp will take RateDB, dual parity. NetApp will take RateDB, whose rate penalty is better than rate 6, much better than rate 6, much better than rate 6. Okay, because it does not do read IOs. I have given you a class on rate penalties, rate penalty or write penalty, both terms are used interchangeably. So they will ask you to interview what is write penalty. That's why I'm discussing these things. You will understand during the interview, and if you study these things what I'm teaching you, right, again and again, you remember these things, you'll be able to clear the interview. And once you're able to answer the questions, like 5 or 6 questions, continuously, then they won't ask you again. They will say, okay, how soon can you join? Okay, and I will tell you, you should target Cognizant, Infosys, TCS, Accenture, HCL, these companies initially, and then once you have a good knowledge, you go to a product company like NetApp. Initially, if you do not have a good knowledge, you don't add, NetApp, they won't select you. Okay, because the interview will be tough. So NetApp, Hitachi Vantara, even if you're not having good knowledge, you can get into Hitachi Vantara because the interview will be easy. So these companies should work: Hitachi Vantara, NetApp, Dell EMC. But Dell EMC, sometimes if they send you some project location, right, they might. One of the lady, right, she reached out to me for training in storage. She was laid off by uh, this Dell EMC. Okay, she used to work in Whitefield, some projects. Okay, but she got another job. But anyway, so that's what she was telling, that all the people who are in the project, right, so everybody was laid off by Dell EMC. So in Dell EMC, if you are getting in Dell EMC, then you should know that you are not working for a project, but you're working for like professional services support. Okay, anyway, so suppose I create a volume. Okay, now first let me create aggregate, because I cannot, I don't want to create a volume on root aggregate. Okay, I don't want to create that. So data underscore eggr1 underscore I will use node 1. Okay, disk count I will use 5 disk. Okay, what would be rate type I will use as RAID 4. Okay, no problem. You can check 3 rates are available here that I was mentioning. I will discuss about the architecture of these RAIDs. Okay, they will ask you in the interview, tell me how IO happens in RAID 4. They will ask you. Okay, and what else I need to give? Maximum RAID size, no need. Node I need to give. Okay, so which node will own this aggregate? Okay, this one. And then what I need to give? Disk type automatically select. Okay, no problem. Okay, there is a command like simulate. This simulate command is, it will just simulate the thing, it will not create it. Okay, it will not create, it will just show you the output. If somebody has worked in EMC, we had a preview command in Symmetrix. In PowerMonks also, like preview command is there. Okay, I forgot the command actual syntax, preview command. So similar to preview command, this NetApp, they have this simulate command. Okay, they have this simulate command. Okay, কিসের প্রসেস এটা, কি এটা ওষুধটা কিসের, জল দাও। Okay, so here you can see, right, the disk is showing as VMW. Why VMW? Because this is a simulator, and even if it's not a simulator, also you're using some software defined storage array. Okay, then your disk will show as VMW because it is coming from VMware. Okay, so here you see SSD drive, it is showing, this is ADP advanced drive partition, will show you this concept. Okay, you see this is 5 disk. Okay, RAID 4, it is showing you this. Okay, RAID 4. Okay, now I want to really create it. Okay, 1 second. No problem. Okay, So this is your data aggregate, okay? This is your data aggregate. So if you do aggregate show hyphen aggr and then you give the aggregate name, okay? Then hyphen instance, it will give you like big output, like more verbose output, okay? So go above here, go above. This is I used for replication purpose. I use the UID, not here. If I whenever I'm doing replication, like not replication, sorry, automation purpose, I use this ID, okay? Not replication. So here this is the aggregate. You can see how many disk is using, how many number, what are the number of disk, what are the disk type. It's a block, obviously it's a block. Okay, so those things you're using. Okay, it's a normal. Okay, auto balance algorithm, auto balance, no, it's not required. Auto balance is used for flex group. Okay, this is a flex volume, okay, not flex group. How do you know it's a flex volume or flex group? It will show you here, okay? Somewhere it will show you, okay? Anyway.
Hybrid.
Huh?
So is that option hybrid? You can show the.
No, not hybrid. I'll tell you one second. So is first has mroot. Has mroot is something like I use this, when I want to convert a volume, normal volume to a root volume. I'll also show this during troubleshooting sessions, okay? Not now. State uses not using this, okay? Let me go to diagnostic mode, okay? So this is a more advanced mode, okay? Storage type. Yeah, I'll check it later and let you know, okay? I don't know why I'm not able to see it. Anyway, not able to see the aggregate type, okay, no problem.
Volume type. Okay.
No, I have not created a volume. So volume type, I'm just trying to see the aggregate is root aggregate or data aggregate. In volume, you'll see flex volume and flex group, okay? So let me go to aggregate show, okay? Now I created a volume, okay? Just for sake of it. So I create a volume. So vServer also I do not have. Let me create a vServer, okay? So vServer, what we are having, node vServer, this is for node management. Admin cluster vServer, this is cluster management, okay? Admin vServer, system vServer. So you don't need this, okay? So what I need is I need a data vServer. So I just create one. Why it's taking this many time? So much time, yeah. So this vServer is created. So you see vServer show hyphen type data. So this vServer is created, okay? Now suppose I want to get a flex volume. So any volume will be created a flex volume, okay? Any volume is a flex volume, okay? So data, I'm creating a data volume. create is data
But aggregate.
1 GB. I want to select a node. Node is okay. Aggregate I've selected, so node is not required. Policy is okay. So just selecting this. P server I'm not selected. Yeah, I have not selected junction, but that's not a problem. So this is a volume I created 1 GB, right? Okay. So your space is like 95 MB, okay? Sorry, 95 MB not. Like close to 1 GB is getting full, right? So what you need to do, you need to extend the space, okay? You need to extend the space. So that is the only thing you can do, okay? And here, how do you know that whether the volume
Volume
is,
resize.
yeah, volume resize, and volume size also another command. Two commands are there. So how do you know that whether the volume one second, how do you know whether the volume is thick volume or thin volume? Thin volume or thick volume? Okay, how do you know this? So capital
Space
S.
guarantee.
Tell me, how do you know this?
Space guarantee is true or false.
Huh?
Space guarantee.
Yes, exactly. Space guarantee. GUA. None. If it shows space guarantee volume, that means it's a thick volume. So this is a thin volume. Thin volume means suppose you have given 100 GB space to application. If it is using 10 GB data, then only 10 GB is given from the storage. But thick volume means even though it's using 10 GB, still it will get 100 GB because you have given 100 GB of thick LAN. When you use thick LAN and when you use thick LAN normally is used for backup purposes. Even in Hitachi or NetApp or any other storage, if you are using backup, you are using thick. Like backup means your backup is getting stored on storage, okay? Then you are using thick LAN, okay? Not thin LAN, okay? Now you want to increase the size, right? So what is the command? Volume size.
Volume resize.
Volume size command is also there, okay? Data
For
volume.
vServer.
What will be the vServer? I will give vServer name I need to give. And what new size? New size it will be 2 GB.
Plus we
Or
need
yeah,
to use
plus,
plus,
yeah,
right?
plus, yeah, plus 1G. Okay, so it will become 2G. Plus is plus we need to give, okay? G can be small or capital, it's not a problem. And there is one more thing that you can use, that is auto grow, not auto balance. So volume modify, okay? Volume name is volume. vServer will be there. So you will not be able to understand this now, okay? I'm just giving an example. So I'll give you basics and basics. Then you'll the reason why I'll example what is volume, what is root volume, what is data volume, what is vServer, what is leaf, what is then you will be able to understand. You'll not be able. That's the reason, I'm just going one by one. I'm not. So here what I'm doing, auto grow, right? Auto size. So auto size more, suppose I want to I want that whenever the volume is getting 85% full, it should expand itself. It should not wait for me. Suppose nobody is in shift, then who will do the work, right? In my environment, we do not have 24/7. We just work like 2 to 11 shift, okay? 9 hours, that's it. So in that case, we'll do that. So but sometimes night time the call will come and my team members, they won't pick the call, okay? Normally it will come to me only. But if I call my team member, they'll pick the call. It's not a problem. But anyway, I'm just saying. So anyway, auto grow size, right? So I'm just enabling this feature. So whenever the volume is getting full to a certain extent, it will increase the size on its own. I do not have to manually do it, okay?
It depends on size or increasing like 100,
percentage
10 GB
it
or 2
depends on
GB
percentage.
percentage.
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
85%. One second, let me get percentage. Now I need to give maximum auto size. Yeah, maximum auto size I need to give. So maximum auto size is means uh, you don't want the volume to fulfill the aggregate, right? So you'll give some maximum auto size. So this is a volume there. I want to increase up to 3 GB. I don't want it more than that, okay? So that's it. So once I discuss you the basic things, right, then you'll be able to understand, okay? So here, just minimize this. So you want to check your, one second. Did I do volume? So volume should be it. Yes, I did. Space guarantee, right? So I want to see the type of the volume, right? I don't know whether type command will work or not. One second. Should work actually. Yeah, so the volume is read, right? Okay, no, it's not the thing. So the thing is, if you want the volume to be the source, suppose you have a replication pair, right? So your source volume will always be RW, and your target volume will always be DP volume, DP. Okay, DP protect. Okay, so here space guarantee none, right? So there is one more thing you can do instead of this. One second. Fields. There is something called volume type. Okay. I'm just checking. Okay, it will be there. Junction path I have not created. Whenever we create a volume, we need to create a junction path. Okay, I will tell you what is junction path, everything. That's why I'm not giving you volume style. Yeah, volume style.
Junction path only used for NAS, right?
Junction path is used only for NAS.
Well, creating LAN,
Root junction path. No, junction path is required actually. For LAN also, I need to verify it because I'm, a lot of things, so I need to verify. But
LAN not using junction path.
mhm.
Only for a CFS, NFS is volume creating.
Okay. So here volume style, right? It's a flex volume. It's a flex group. It will show you flex group. Okay. Now if you see the junction path of this volume, okay, junction path. So it will show empty. And if you want to create the junction path, then what you will do? What is the command? Vol. What will be the command?
Wall mount.
Volume create.
Volume create, yes, but volume create is when initially you're doing. If the volume is existing, then what do? You do wall mount. Yes, exactly. Wall mount. And you create a junction path, okay? Slash. Okay. And now you, sorry, yes. Now you, okay, this is great, okay? Now on top of it, you can create shares and all. And what you say, right, that junction path is not required for LAN, you said. So are you using LAN in your environment? Do you have LAN?
Yeah, I am working with that.
Then you'll be correct. Then you'll be correct. Okay? Because I'm not using SAN in NetApp. I'm using NAS for NetApp, but SAN I'm using Hitachi. Okay. Yeah. So in top of it, so if you want to create LAN, so which is very easy. These are things. I'm just showing just an example. Like you just give some path, wall2, something like that. Just anything give. Okay. Like or maybe you don't give the path.
Walmart.
You give the volume name. Okay. Just give the volume name. Okay, and then you give the LUN as wall underscore LUN. Okay. Size maybe 1 GB is okay. I think 2 GB LUN. So OS type maybe give it Windows. Maybe Windows is fine. Okay. Space is available. No, you don't want it to thick LUN. That's it. You just add it. Okay. Then do LUN show. So this is the LUN you create. Okay. This will be a path. Okay. So this is just same. It is showing unmapped. So I'm not mapping. I have not mapped this to any server. I'm just showing basic things. So this is normally how you do. Okay. This is normally how we do. Okay. And then so the volume is of size 3 GB, but I have created a 1 GB LAN here. Okay. And if I want to extend, I can extend up to 3 GB or 2 GB. 2 GB I think it's up to 2 GB. 3 GB is the maximum auto grow size. Okay. Depending on the OS, you can use the OS type here. Okay. So if it's a Linux, you can use Linux. Okay. Okay. So do you have any questions? Any more questions? And in junction path, I'll tell you one thing. This is what I'll tell you. Let me go to file, open new. Don't save. Yeah. So in junction path, you'll always have a root namespace. On the root namespace, you'll have your other child. This is a parent, this is a child. The root namespace is always in your root volume of your vServer. And root volume will also have these naming informations, namespace informations. So this volume is whatever junction path you're having. Here I'm having the junction path / data vol. So it is mounted on the root. Okay. It is mounted on the vServer on / data vol. Okay. So your volumes will be mounted on your vServers. vServers are virtual servers, storage. It is also known as storage virtual machines, SVM. That was a earlier name. Okay. So what you do, you need to mount the volume on vServer, and that is the reason you use junction path. Now you are saying the junction path is not required for SAN LAN, right? But I will recheck that and let you know. Okay. I cannot confirm you, but I will tell you. Okay. Because I need to do, when I do the SAN thing, right? Because whenever I did allocations, I created the junction path. So I will do once without creating the junction path, and then I will see whether it works or not. If it works, then we do not need junction path. Okay. If it works. Okay. You don't need a junction path. If it does not work, then we need junction path. Okay. And what about Praveen? Praveen, are you there? Praveen is not there, right? Because he is also having SAN. He is having iSCSI. What about this guy, Bob Venkat?
Yeah.
He used to use
So
did you
we are
use
using
SAN?
the both. Yeah, we are using
SAN for NetApp?
Yeah, SAN and NAS, we are using the NetApp. For the LANs, we don't require the junction path. Yes.
No problem.
Okay. And we are one issue they are doing actually in our environment. So can I discuss?
Yeah, you can discuss it.
Yeah. So actually, currently we are using a few clusters on ONTAP Select. So one of the node is getting rebooted multiple times. Is node one.
What
So
is the version for that? What is the version is there?
For the ONTAP Select 9.15. 9.15. 9.15.
One thing. This issue is coming. Okay. Did you check with your ESX team whether they did any?
Yeah, so checked with the ESX team so that the version is not compatible with the like previously we are using like 9.12, 9.13. So during that time the node got rebooted. So we observed like the ESA version is not compatible with the ONTAP 9.12. That is the reason we upgraded to 9.12 to 9.15. but still we observe like one of the cluster is getting rebooted. So node 1 and node 2 frequently. Like we check the VMware team, so they don't find any logs from the kernel level, and so currently those are VMs are hosted on the Nutanix. So they don't find any.
I'm yet to update to 9.15. I'll do this during February, okay? But Mahesh from Mindtree, okay, he also faced a similar issue. So you might have some bug on this code, okay? You have to check with NetApp, asking that what will be the proper stable code. Okay, I will tell you one thing. Long time back, 1 year or 2 year back, so this ONTAP select was rebooting like very frequently. So NetApp suggested us to upgrade the VNIC, virtual NIC card of our storage nodes. Storage nodes are basically VMs, right? So they have VNIC card, virtual NIC card, okay? So they wanted to upgrade those versions. So once we upgraded, our issue was fixed. Okay.
Okay, but like we have the same like environment with multiple clusters with the same OS and the same in like the.
No. That's what I'm telling. So you have to wait for February because I will be upgrading this, and then if I get issues, then I'll let you know. The thing is, what you need to do is that you need to go to the NetApp team and ask them that this is the code, this is getting rebooted. Then please let me know. So they will. And one more thing you can do. You can go to the Occam tool. So not Occam, sorry, AIQ. Okay, in AIQ, yeah. Active IQ, yes, Active IQ, and then you can select that particular storage array and check the code you are into, and then you click onto the code. It will show you what are the bugs that it fixed from the earlier code and what are the bugs you are currently having, and then you'll get an idea why the issue is happening.
Okay, so actually we raised a case with NetApp. Like they said, like during the NVRAM flush, the heartbeat is missing between the two nodes. That the reason like the node got rebooted.
They are saying that during the NVRAM flush, what are you saying?
During the NVRAM flushing, the node heartbeat time is more than 16 seconds. So that is the reason the node got rebooted. Like the whatever the residing the data store is getting offline. That's because of data store offline. The node got rebooted. But the Nutanix side, like the virtualization side, you don't find any logs.
No, the problem is with NetApp side, not Nutanix side. The problem is in NetApp side. So yes, what they are saying is that whenever the NVMe flush is happening, so the heartbeat is getting more. So that's a bug actually. That's a bug with the current code, nothing else. Because it was working fine with the earlier code, right? Earlier versions. Yeah.
Yes.
And the same thing happened with Mahesh also. Okay. I think I'll be facing the same issues, bro. I don't want to face because if some P1 comes, then only I have to join. Okay. So yeah. So let's see. So what did you ask them? What would be the solution? Did you ask them?
Yes, bro. Like they suggested to check with the hypervisor layer logs, but the VMware team doesn't provide any logs. They don't find any events from their side. So currently the case is open.
And they also said the compatibility is there, right? You have
yes,
checked the compatibility.
Before upgrading the ONTAP version, like we check the compatibility and everything. So that is matched with the OS, ONTAP OS.
Then it's okay, bro. You cannot do anything if VMware team is not getting hypervisor. It's not a VMware issue, I'll tell you. I'll tell you when it happens. Sometimes it happens because if VMware is doing some changes, right, ESX server, and because of that they are doing storage vMotions, like moving the VM from one ESX server to another ESX server which are part of the ESX cluster, then it can happen. And one of the things it can happen, they are taking the snapshot and the snapshot space is filling the VM, okay, then it can happen. And one of the thing is bug, okay. And another thing it can happen, I'll tell you, whenever somebody by mistake or accidentally deletes your ONTAP deploy, then it can happen, because if you ONTAP deploy is like your logical interconnect switch. So in physical array, right, you will have interconnect switch, right, interconnect switches. So in software defined storage you will not have it, right? So ONTAP deploy is the one which helps you to send the heartbeat information from one node to another node in that particular cluster HX interconnect, okay. So if somebody ONTAP deploys nothing but a VM, right? So if somebody by mistake deletes it, then you will have issues, okay.
Yeah, so both we check the same thing, like on tap select, like we on sub select
And
VM is
one more thing, yeah. I forgot to tell you. If you are upgrading to 9.15, you have to upgrade the on-tap deploy also.
yes, yes,
Did
we
you
are also upgraded.
did you
Yes,
upgrade
we
it?
have.
Okay, you
Yeah,
also
we
upgrade,
have.
right? Okay, then no problem. Then you have nothing to do here. You just have to, uh, you cannot do anything actually. You do not have NetApp is the only thing is you go to the AIQ, okay, active IQ. You just go to the AIQ, and then you just go to the code, and then select the code, okay, and you'll be able to see the bugs. It will show you like what are the bugs fixed from the previous thing and what are the existing bugs are there. It will show you that if NetApp has published it, then you'll be able to see. Sometimes they will not publish, okay, they don't want to publish, okay.
Yeah.
And who was the person who was asking me the earlier questions? Earlier questions right now, is it Palash? Like just
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
right?
Yes, sir.
Regarding
Yeah.
No, Junction Path one. Who said?
No,
Palash Jain.
junction path I didn't type. No,
So
no, no.
Palash Jain, right?
Junction path I
Palash Jain, right?
No, I'm
no,
Palash
sir, no,
from.
it was not me.
Okay. So who has worked on NetApp before? NetApp here. I think Venkat has worked. Venkatesh, he took my training 7 months back, I think. So who worked on NetApp? Who worked on NetApp? Apart from Venkat, no one did, right? Okay. So I'll tell you the one thing, okay? So you have to go like basic stuff that I'm talking about, storage basics, and then I will talk about architecture. Like he said, NVRAM flush, right? NVRAM is basically cache. I talked about global cache, right? Cache read it, cache write it. So in NetApp, what happens? Suppose you have a two-node cluster, then both the node will have their NVRAM. So NVRAM will mirror. So write comes, so it's right came, so you are using SAN, and it came on the LAN, right, which is being owned by your controller one. So it will first the data will copy to your NVRAM of your controller one, okay, node one, and then it will be mirrored to the other node, okay. And when NVRAM flash happen, flash means destaging the data, committing the data from NVRAM to disk. It is called flush. Okay. So when it happens, when NVRAM becomes half full or every 10 seconds, and there is one more scenario. Okay. So it is called as consistency points, CP. There is one more scenario here. Do you remember, Venkat? 3 scenarios will be there. NVRAM half full, every 10 second, and one more scenario. What is that?
Snapshot creation time.
Yeah, snapshot creations. Yeah. So during these 3 scenarios, your data from your cache, which is called as NVRAM, will be committed to your disk. Okay. And here, what they are this software defined storage they're talking about is whenever NVRAM flush is happening, right, the heartbeat is getting more than 60%. Heartbeat means the data will be copied from your one node to another node in the cluster, right? So it is getting like CPU utilization, you can call it like getting more than 60%. So that's the reason it's getting rebooted, because it cannot withstand that pressure. Even if by mistake you run some SVMDR or some kind of replications after creating, right, initially the replication will full copy, right, during the time of your production, right? So your CFS shares or shares will be slow. That is running on that, because of the CPU utilization. So some things we know because we have worked on storage, right? So Venkat is someone, who's having only 3.5 years experience. I should not disclose it, but he's getting a very good salary. He got a very good hike from his previous company, and he's working in one of the top big four MNCs. Okay, big four MNCs like what is big four, like financial MNC, like Deloitte kind of thing. Okay, Deloitte PwC. He's working in that company. Okay, so that's what I'm telling you. So what you need to do is that you need to keep on learning, okay, and you'll always be able to do better. So next session I will take you on switch. Okay, I will talk about switch architecture, then I'll go to zoning, then I'll go to the NAS part, like in depth I'll talk about NAS, then object storage, then I'll go to the architecture of NetApp, data flow, NVRAM and all those things. Okay, then I'll go to more hands-on training. Okay, then I'll go to the networking
Sir,
part. Yeah, yeah,
sir,
yeah,
one
bro.
quick question
Yeah.
before you close. Sir, so we are actually running currently 9.12 in our NetApp. So sir, NetApp like it is recommending 9.16 to go for. So what version should is good to upgrade?
Mhm. I will tell you one thing. I got a recommendation from NetApp. Okay, so they asked me that I should go for 9.15.1 P6. Are you having physical hardware or software defined storage? Which are you having? What is your model?
We have NetApp 250.
AFF 250. Okay. So you need to use 9.15.1 P6.
Okay.
Let me type 9.15.1 P6. Don't go to the latest code, okay? Don't go to the RC code. That is a code like RC1 something, right? Don't go to that code, okay? Because it's the N version. You should always go to N-1 stable version, not N.
Okay. Okay,
You
sir.
can go to N, yes, but not for storage, but storage tools like Occam, okay? Storage tools you can go to N, SANNAV, but not storage. Storage you go to N-1. Even switch also you can go to N-1. Switch we can go to N-2 also, no problem. N-2 also you can go in switch. Okay? Because sometimes N-1 is not stable. Because Boget is not that doing that much research on this. So anyway, okay. And if you're having software defined storage, then the code you will have is 9.1. So you don't need to know that, right? So it is 9.15.1 P1. Okay. So that is a SDS on tap select. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So we'll have a class on Sunday. Okay. We'll discuss about the switch part. And I think I'll be able to like 3 classes, 6 classes, right? Within 8 classes, I think I'll be able to cover the storage basics. I think 8 classes at least, yeah. 7 because tomorrow, like day after tomorrow, I'll be covering this thing, right? Switch and then zoning, and then 7 or 8 classes, I'll be covering the storage basics. Then I'll go to NetApp. Okay, because if people does not know the topology, right, they will have difficulties to understand why they are doing it. Okay, and junction path is so important. Whenever you face any issue in NetApp, then you always know that it's junction path. Like issue means suppose you are doing some new configurations, right, share and all, right, and you are not able to see the shares or something, then you should always think about that you did some mistake with junction path, because that will always be the reason. Okay.
When we are creating junction path, using GI for not purpose, using GI na, not showing junction path, right? GUI.
What are you saying?
GUI, graphical interface unit.
Yeah. Using GUI also we can create ESS. Using GUI also you can create. Let me show you 1 second. I think this one or this. I think this one problem.
Sir, one quick question, sir.
Hmm.
So, like, while NetApp is releasing its latest version, so they are fixing the latest vulnerabilities as well, right? And bugs as well. So, management can ask like you should go for the latest version because it is fixing the vulnerabilities. And nowadays, like so many attacks are happening, like cyber attacks are happening. So it can fix those things.
No, no,
So
but you
management
what
can
you tell
ask.
them? Yeah, you tell them that what you do, you raise a request in NetApp, they will give you the recommended code. You tell them that NetApp has recommended, vendor has recommended. They will not ask you any questions, because management is not technical person. Suppose you go to the right code, right, new latest code, right, and you get issues. So who will point management? Who will be the scapegoat? Not management, right? You will be the scapegoat, right? They will say, even though you have knowledge, they will say you do not have knowledge, right? They will say this. They will make you
Okay.
scapegoat. So that's why you should always ask NetApp. You should you ask NetApp what is the stable version that you are having. They will not give latest version. Trust me. They'll never ask you. They'll never recommend you to go
Okay.
to the latest version. If it is latest version, then why Venkat and Madhav, not Venkat and Mahesh, why they have not upgraded to latest version? They could have easily gone to latest version, right? Why they have not done that?
Yeah,
Okay.
in my environment, 6 months ago, we updated 9.11 P6A, P16 version updated.
Oh,
So
oh.
you have never gone to latest version, right? You've always gone to N-1 version, right? So the N-1 version is the one that is recommended. Okay?
Okay.
Because
Okay.
latest version
And
is
same goes.
will have some problem.
Mhm. The same goes for
Yeah,
Delhi MC as well.
maximum NetApp supported, they will recommend it, right, for good version.
No. You can connect them. They will not over the email or in tickets also they will not ask you to go to latest version. They will go to the N-1 version. You can ask them. Okay?
Oh, yes, yes.
N-1 version
Same
is
goes
what you
for
need to do.
same goes
Suppose I
for the
want to
Delhi
create a
MC as
volume,
well.
right? So this is what I'm doing, okay? Just check it. Somebody is asking me junction path, right? So this is the way I create the volume in uh, through GUI, okay? Which is called as OnTap System Manager. And you click onto this, you will get a new UI. New UI. I'm not clicking onto this because again I lose the page. So here snapshot reserve is 5%, means whatever volume you are creating, 5% space of that volume will be used for snapshots. Okay, space is up default. I don't thin provision, thick provisions.
Provision, maximum revision thin. Here only showing thin provision.
Yes. Thin thick is showing. It's a GUI, right? It's an easy thing.
Yes, yes, for
What
easily we
about
can
junction
create.
path? I did not see anything.
Junction path here not showing, only for using for command line.
Oh, okay.
GUI
Because
not
I
showing.
mostly use command line only. So okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
you
okay.
should show
GUI
something.
not
Let me check.
showing here.
There'll be something here. Let me check. There'll be some way, bro. Because I have seen that. Means not this, but I have browsed it. I think okay, Q3 we can create, not junction. Let me check. I think I can probably do something. 1 second.
Oh,
So I
okay.
created this one, right? 1 second.
Yeah, junction path here down.
We can do, bro. Here. Second.
Oh, okay.
Somewhere we can do, bro. Not here. Ah, edit. General. Advanced. No, we cannot do. That was strange.
Well,
Actually,
we are creating share, it automatically taken for creating share now. Share access or
okay, yes. Because whenever we are doing a GUI, right? So
it's
GUI thing,
automatically
I'll tell you
taken.
one thing. GUI will always create as per the recommended thing, basic recommendations. So it will create the junction path, yes. But suppose you want to change the junction path, right? So how to do that? Here, see, junction path is already created. It did not give you the option, but it created it, okay? But in command line, if you do not give the junction path option, it will not create, bro, automatically. You have to
Yes,
give
yes.
hyphen junction path. Then
Yes.
only it will create. Yeah, otherwise you have to do fall mount. Okay. And this is very important language. You need to use UTF-5.
Yeah,
Tiering
language.
policy, cloud tiering on all. So I'll explain this.
Yes, yes.
Storage efficiency is for compression, deduplication. You can check deduplication is this thing here, total savings. This is local snapshot. This is replication. Okay. So all these things. Okay. So I'll also give you both CLI and GUI. So mostly I'm comfortable in CLI because it is easy to do. GUI, the problem is you have to search for the option, okay, where it is. Suppose you need to create Qt, right? You need to search here and here you need to do. And there is one good thing about NetApp is you can search here, not here. Let me go to new experience, okay? 1 second. This is better. New experience. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. So here you can search. Okay, suppose you want to do queue tree creation, right? You search here, you'll get it. Here you get storage queue trees. Okay, page. You'll get to the page. Okay. Suppose you want to do upgrade. Okay, you just click on upgrade. Click on here. Oh, what's coming? Okay, spelling mistake. Okay, it is going to help page, not this one. 1 second. Why can't I just minimize the page a bit? Yeah, so you come here, you can do upgrade. No problem, just go to update here, cluster update. Okay, so you'll get the update here. Okay, this is a glue paddle. It's basically is a simulator. There's a quota you do, is you do tier. This is cloud tiering, flash pool. So everything you do. Okay, so everything you can do from GUI. Okay, not everything. There are few things you cannot do. Mostly one thing you cannot do is quota in this one, quota resize. There is a command quota resize, right? So you cannot do from GUI. You cannot do this. So that is the only thing. And there are many things you cannot do from GUI, because from standard diagnostic mode you can do a lot of things, right? You cannot do that from GUI. You are creating metro cluster. You want to do some use to some specific IP ranges for network, for creating the private IPs. Okay, so but you cannot do that using GUI. There are a lot of things you cannot do. Okay, so anyway, it's too much. Okay, so we'll touch base on Sunday. Okay, we'll carry on the switches. Okay, chalo bye. Bye.